Palestinian authorities have said that at least 6 civilians have been killed during an overnight strike by Israeli forces on the West Bank. At least 6 civilians have died in Ukraine following fresh Russian drone attacks. Jacques Delors, former president of the European Commission, known as the pioneer of the single market and the euro, has died aged 98. Bad weather in the Netherlands, Germany and parts of Scandinavia have caused floods and traffic accidents, but the worst is not over. At least 6 Palestinians have been killed during an overnight strike by Israeli forces on the Now Shams refugee camp in the West Bank, said Palestinian authorities. More than 300 Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank since the start of the war. Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Shtayyeh on Wednesday claimed Israel had become an outlawed state as it continues its war against Hamas.
لن تنتصر إسرائيل على إرادة الشعب الفلسطيني في الوصول إلى الحرية والاستقلال والدولة. والقتل اليوم البشع هو من باب الفشل. إن إسرائيل اليوم في الحضيض، والذين تقاطروا لدعمها في أوائل الأحداث اليوم أصبحوا يخجلوا منها ويتنصلوا من دعمها.
The Israeli military has also released footage claiming to show some of its elite units in operations in the Gaza Strip. According to the IDF, units are fighting Hamas deep within Khan Yunis, killing many operatives and destroying the group's infrastructure in the process, including tunnels. Israel launched heavy strikes across central and southern Gaza overnight against Hamas in areas Palestinians had previously been told to seek shelter in. The IDF also says a fighter jet hit a Hezbollah site in southern Lebanon overnight and struck more areas near the border this morning. Hamas says that Israel's offensive has killed at least 21,110 people in the Strip, though the figures cannot be verified. 6 people have died in fresh Russian drone attacks on Ukraine. One person has died at a train station in Kherson, where more than 100 civilians were waiting for a train to Kyiv. The shelling has left 70% of the town's homes without electricity. Despite the devastation, one resident says Kherson will endure.
Я бачила, як його будували. Я народилась в Херсоні, жила в Херсоні. Серце крається. Але тепер я, ще більш переконуюсь, що Херсон вистоїть. От саме після таких ударів сильних, потужних, після яких хочеться спочатку плакати, а потім береш себе в руки і знаєш точно, що ми вистоїмо. Приберемо все, потім позашивають вікна, вокзал, я думаю, і далі буде функціонувати.
In Odessa, another drone strike killed 2 people and injured 3 others, according to regional authorities. The air offensive comes one day after Ukrainian warplanes damaged a Russian ship on the coast of Crimea.
In a war with no end in sight, it is still possible to bring Christmas joy to the Ukrainian front line. The Kropov Public Center in Kropyvnytsky collected gifts for the soldiers, essential goods, tactical equipment and more to boost morale.
Веземо подарунки від наших діток з міста Кропивницький. Ми хочемо привітати наших хлопців, трохи підняти бойовий дух. Ми припинили рахувати ці поїздки, кількість їх, тому що кожна поїздка для нас, вона, скажімо так, робиться серцем. І з кожною поїздкою ми віддаємо частинку своєї душі і тепла тим, хто захищає нас на передовій.
Santa Claus here is called Ola Yanev, a driver who has been making deliveries to Ukrainian soldiers since 2014. This year he takes smiles to the east of the country, which he hopes will last until his next delivery.
Jacques Delors, former president of the European Commission, has died at the age of 98. Delors laid the foundations for the modern European Union by creating the single market that made the free movement of people, capital, goods and services possible. He also headed the so-called Delors Committee, which proposed the creation of the euro. Delors served as France's Minister of Finance from 1981 to 1984. He declined to run in the 1995 French presidential election, which was eventually won by Jacques.
Born in Paris in 1925 into a humble family, Jacques Delors began his career as a member of the Banque de France in 1945 after studying economics at the Sorbonne. Involved in politics and trade unionism from an early age, he joined the French Confederation of Christian Workers, or CFTC, in 1944. At the age of 54, Delors was elected a member of the European Parliament in 1979. He chaired the Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee of the European Assembly until 1981, when he was appointed Minister of the Economy, Finance and Budget in Pierre Mauroy's government, where he participated in the European integration of French economic policy. 2 years later, he was elected mayor of Clichy and invested himself in the life of this Parisian suburb.
Je ne serai pas un montreur de foire.
But in 1985, he became president of the European Commission, a position he held for a decade. During that time, the single market became a reality. His achievements include the launch of the European and Economic Monetary Union that led to the Euro, the European Social Dialogue, the enlargements of the bloc, and the Erasmus programme. This economic and monetary union became the central plank of the Maastricht Treaty, the biggest change since the bloc began. The treaty, on which Delors worked hard, entered into force on the 1st of November 1993, 2 years before the end of his term in office. He then tried to return to French politics, but finally withdrew his candidacy for the 1995 elections. He lacked sufficient support and did not want to interfere with his daughter's career, French socialist politician Martine Aubry. After the death of his wife in 2020, Delors relied on his daughter, with whom he was close.
Security measures have been strengthened in crowded areas over the Christmas period in the Vatican, in light of international recent events and the risk of terrorist attacks. Italian authorities warn of a higher risk of jihadi attacks amid the Gaza war and eco-activists seizing the occasion to stage headline-grabbing stunts. Precautionary measures were also taken in Germany and Austria.
Zur Zeit, wie Jesus geboren wurde, war es auch nicht sehr friedlich. Also das ist nicht was Neues. Was gut ist, ist, dass unsere Exekutive so wachsam ist, dass man genau hinschaut. Ich fühle mich ganz sicher, aber man muss wirklich aufpassen.
German police said they were taking precautions over Christmas after receiving intelligence of potential terrorist attacks on New Year's Eve.
9 protests have taken place since Serbia's alleged irregular general election results earlier this month, the latest last night. Protesters are also demanding the release of at least 30 students who were detained whilst protesting on Sunday. The election is highly contested. There have been claims of ballot box stuffing and vote buying. The coalition Serbia Against Violence is demanding the elections be annulled. The Electoral Commission announced on Wednesday that the election would be rerun in some polling stations.
Wolfgang Schäuble, a legendary former finance minister in Angela Merkel's government, has died. The important figure in German politics passed away at the age of 81 on Tuesday evening. One of the architects of the country's reunification, as the former German Chancellor called him, had been paraplegic since 1990 after being shot. He was appointed as finance minister just before Greece's ballooning budget, earning him both praise and condemnation. Lee Sun-kyun, best known for his role in the Oscar-winning film Parasite, was found dead this Wednesday. The 48-year-old South Korean actor was found inside a car in a park in the center of Seoul. According to South Korean news agency Yonhap, he left a suicide note to his family. Lee was being investigated by the police for allegedly using marijuana and other psychoactive drugs.
Water levels in the River Rhine have caused severe floods in parts of the Netherlands and Germany. Forecasts say the peak of the flooding in the Netherlands will take place on Thursday. In some parts of the country, temporary dikes have already been built to control the flooding. Farmers in the Netherlands have warned the poor weather conditions may affect the potato and sugar beet harvest. In neighbouring Germany, several storms in quick succession have meant heavy rains on an already soaked ground. Near Bremen, the River Weser has burst its banks. Some homes and farms on the edge of the suburbs have been flooded. In Norway, many cities are on high alert as heavy snowfall has meant the roads are extremely slippery and dangerous, causing several traffic accidents and injuries. Storm Henk is forecast to hit southern Scandinavia on Sunday morning. The cleanup has begun on Danish beaches after dozens of containers were lost at sea due to stormy weather. A Maersk ship lost 46 containers off the northern Jutland coast just before Christmas, whilst en route from Bremerhaven to Gdansk. Now, everything from fridges, needles and shoes are adrift at sea. Maersk said containers were lost due to rough weather.
Vi er rigtig kede af situationen. Vi tager fuldt ansvar, og vi er der, indtil der er ryddet op. Men det oprydningsarbejde, det skal foregå sammen med de lokale myndigheder, som har kendskaben.
The containers were thought to be adrift between Hanstholm and Skagen off the coast of northern Jutland. Local fishermen are worried about bumping into containers and other fragments. Locals have been warned by authorities not to touch anything that washes ashore. The incident happened when Storm Pia hit Denmark coasts earlier this week.